like a documentary about animals and how they live peacefully together, and that makes me think that we should all be vegan because it shows how animals really have feelings.
Have you ever heard the word speciesism?
No.
So speciesism is similar to racism or sexism. Speciesism is discrimination.
Oh.
Yeah, like discrimination based on what species somebody's born into. So if we were to say that it's wrong to kill a dog, but fine to kill a pig, that would be speciesism because dogs and pigs are equal. They've got some little differences, but their similarities outweigh their differences. Pigs are actually smarter than dogs. Or if we were to say that humans matter but animals don't, that would also be speciesism because humans are animals too. We're mammals, you know. So the idea
Yeah,
is
I agree.
yeah, so the idea is just to be nice to everybody regardless of our differences. So even though a person is a different color than me or a different sex than me or they're from a different country than me, none of that matters. Same with like if somebody
We're all equal,
yeah,
even animals. And
yeah.
some people actually have pigs and cows and pets because they're on farms where they don't hurt their animals without their consent. So a pig is the same as a dog, and you guys need to stop thinking that it's okay to kill and eat your pig. It's not!
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just posting a picture in stage one text of a beautiful pig. And so I think we should just treat these individuals with respect because it doesn't matter that they look different than us or they think different than us. What matters is they're conscious individuals who care how they're treated. They have a brain and a nervous system, so they feel pain and pleasure. They have friends and families and lives that matter to them. And so we should just be nice to them instead of cutting their heads off.
True. And animals don't, try to eat us. Even though they do sometimes try to kill us, it's for a good reason. We
Yeah,
are,
like
really disrespectful to them.
Yeah, so like if a lion is trying to kill you, it's only because they don't know any better, you know, and they're just hungry, they're trying to eat, or they're trying to defend their land or something. But you have the right to defend yourself if a lion is attacking you. So, but that's different, like you're saying, that's different than what we're talking about with cows and pigs and chickens and fish. They're not trying to hurt us. They're just chilling, minding their own
Yeah.
business. And here we come trying to stab them so that we can eat their dead bodies when we could just eat a vegan burger or whatever.
How do you think she would feel about that? Like, you're eating her family. It's not okay.
Exactly. Yeah, we just need to use perspective to realize that if we were in their position, we wouldn't want the humans to mistreat us. We would want the humans to be nice to us, even though we were born into a different body than the humans.
We're all equal.
Yeah. And I mean, of course there's differences between humans and animals. Like we're way smarter than animals, but that's
And
not.
we're
But that
stronger sometimes.
but that doesn't matter. You know, when we're talking about ethics and morality and applying rights to individuals and deciding whether or not to stab them, it's not a matter of how smart somebody is. What matters again is that they don't want to be stabbed. And so we could look at like a mentally disabled person who's only like a human with a mental disability who's only as smart as a pig, but we wouldn't say, oh, well, this human's not as smart as us, so we can stab this human. No, we say it doesn't matter
Yeah,
that they're not.
they're still equal to us, even if they have something like that, like autism or another mental disability. It's okay because they're not any different from us. They just need a little bit of extra help sometimes.
Yes, exactly, because otherwise it would be called ableism. Ableism is another form
Yeah.
of discrimination like racism or sexism or speciesism. Ableism is about discriminating against somebody because they have different abilities or they're not as smart as us or they're paralyzed or something like that. But we
Yeah.
we don't
It's
use
not fair.
yeah, but ableism is not a good reason to hurt somebody just because they're different than us. So yeah, it sounds like you understand all this stuff. You sound really smart.
So
No.
I was just wondering on what your guys' opinions are on raising your own animals humanely and like eating their eggs. My family raises chickens, and I'm wondering we're not vegans, but we do we're very conscious about how the animals feel and stuff. I'm wondering guys' thoughts are on that.
Okay, yeah, good question. So, of course, it's worse to like torture an animal in a big factory farm and then kill them. Um, but it's also problematic to raise animals for products that we don't need. Also, because like we don't need to eat eggs, and there's a lot of cholesterol in eggs, which increases our risk of heart disease, stuff like that. But also, there can be problems with the animal rights issue of having backyard eggs. Thing is basically that it depends on where you got the birds from. Like if you got the chickens from a hatchery is a place where they breed birds for the purpose of raising them for their eggs, and they'll sell some of the baby birds. And so people will buy, and when you buy these little baby birds from this company, you're paying that company to keep doing the things that they're doing. And what happens is the hatchery kills all of the baby boys because the boys don't lay eggs. Only the females lay eggs. So because the boys are useless to the egg industry, and this type of bird, this breed, won't grow big enough to become a meat bird. And they don't lay eggs, they just kill them on their first day of life. The farmer puts the baby boy birds onto a conveyor belt, and they're just thrown into a grinder alive. And they're just macerated, shredded up, and then turned into like dog food, stuff like that. So even if you're treating the birds in your yard well, if you got them from a hatchery, it's like supporting that industry. Also, another thing is that these birds have been genetically modified and selectively bred by farmers over tens and hundreds of years to produce more eggs than they naturally would, and this hurts their little bodies, right? So in nature, a chicken would lay about one egg per month, but now in farms they lay about one egg per day. So that's like 30 times as many eggs as they normally would produce. And so this, depletes calcium from their bones, and it hurts their body. It's like a woman having a period like every day instead of once a month. Because that's what an egg is like a hen's menstrual cycle. And so it hurts them to go through this process. Sometimes the eggs will get stuck inside their bodies, and they can get ovarian cancer. They'll have to have surgery to remove the egg from the hole. Also, like chickens only have one hole, which is where their eggs come from, where their poop comes from, where their pee comes from, and where they have sex. It's just one hole. So I think that's pretty gross. But also, because these birds have been bred to lay more eggs than they naturally would, their bodies a lot of times can't support their own weight, or they'll have bone fractures and stuff like this. And so a lot of times their lives are pretty miserable. And when we take their eggs from them, it tells them that they need to make another egg. Like they have this biological instinct to replace that egg with another egg. And so that just makes their body go into overdrive again and stuff like that. And it's just not necessary. It's not good for them. And so what we should do, I think, is just eat something else. Like we've got tofu scramble or all kinds of different foods. We even have vegan eggs. So there's no need to do this. And yeah, we can feed the eggs back to these birds so that they get the calcium that they lost, or we can just like let the eggs stay with them, or we can do a surgery on them so that they won't produce any more eggs, which would probably be better for their little bodies. And the other problem is just when we eat eggs, even if it comes from like the best case scenario, when we eat eggs, we're telling other people that eggs are a food source. And then people will be like, yeah, that just reinforces my idea that eggs are food. And so I'm going to go buy them from the grocery store. But grocery stores get their eggs from factory farms where these birds are horrifically abused, kept in tiny cages their whole lives, killed when they're very young, or they're kept in a big open area, but there's so many birds in one barn that they don't have enough space to really move around or flap their wings. There's poop all over the floor, and so the ammonia in the air burns their eyes and burns their lungs when they breathe it. It's just really a bad environment. And like I said, those birds are killed at an early age. So some forms of animal exploitation are worse than others, but the idea is to just stop it entirely if we can.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, but a little bit of an issue I have with it is like, well, in like a perfect world, I get that like going vegan would be like very great for everyone, but what do you guys think about like the financial strain it can have on people to use like you mentioned like tofu scramble or eggs and stuff, and that can sometimes be really expensive. And what do you guys recommend for like people who don't have as much money that are still wanting to like negate their damage to animals?
That's a really great question. So I'll post in stage one text a link to a website called Plant Based on a Budget. And so Plant Based on a Budget is pretty much just what it sounds like. It's got vegan recipes that are super cheap, but some examples of cheap vegan foods that we eat are things like rice, pasta, fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, beans, bread. So a big bag of rice and beans is super cheap, cheaper than meat, dairy, eggs. And then a big old bag of bread, a loaf of bread's like a buck or two, and that'll last you a while. Ramen noodles, all kinds of stuff like that. But then, yeah, we got more expensive stuff like the vegan burgers, vegan chicken, vegan sausage, vegan meatballs, vegan pizza, vegan ice cream, all that stuff that's super good and high in protein and all that. It doesn't have any of the cholesterol that animal products has, which is good because cholesterol increases your risk of heart disease, which is the number one killer of Americans. But yeah, some of the vegan burgers may be a little bit more expensive than a regular burger right now, but that's just because it's new to the market. But as more people go vegan and start buying these products, they'll become more popular and profitable, and the price will go down. It's just supply and demand. So in the meantime, some of us, if we can afford it, we have to bite the bullet and take one for the team essentially until it becomes cheaper for everybody. But again, you don't have to eat vegan burgers because you can make like a bean burger at home. There's all kinds of stuff you could do, or you can go to Taco Bell and get the dollar menu. They've got rice and bean burritos, or at Burger King, there's a vegan burger called the Impossible Whopper. It's like a buck or two more expensive than a regular Whopper, but I think it's worth it to not be destroying the environment or destroying animals' lives, or taking in all that cholesterol. So there's just a few things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's basically all I want to say. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come talk to us again if you have any more questions or comments. No religion forces you to eat meat. So if you have like some friends who are saying, well, God gave us animals to be our food, you don't like these religions will say it's okay to eat animals, but you don't have to eat animals. So if you're given the choice by a God to be kind or to be cruel to animals, I would just recommend being kind. But also, I'm an atheist, and so I'm just not convinced that there are any gods. But again, there's a bunch of Christian vegans and Muslim vegans, Hindu vegans, so you can be religious and still be nice to animals. But I would recommend people learn about atheism.
Don't like accept veganism.
Okay. Yeah, my parents aren't vegan either, but they started eating a lot of vegan meals with me because I told them I won't sit at the table if animals are being eaten at the table. That's just me. And so what that did was now my parents are like, oh, we understand you're an animal rights activist. You don't want to sit at a table where animals are being eaten, so we'll just eat a vegan meal for the whole family. And so that helps my parents try new vegan foods and understand how serious I take the issue. Because they wouldn't sit with me if I was eating a dog. And if we wouldn't sit with them while they're eating a dog, why should we sit with them when they're eating a cow, pig, or chicken? But That's just me. In any case, it looks like we lost that person, so I think we need them to change their profile picture, maybe.
Yeah, that profile picture was just not appropriate.
Okay, I didn't even see it.
Well, let me give like a disclaimer what my question is about. So, I want to be a vegetarian, not a vegan. So I was just wondering, like, do you like not accept vegetarians? Like, is there something wrong with vegetarians?
Well, there's something wrong with all of us, and we need to just try to figure out where we're missing, where we're missing out, what our problems are, and try to fix those problems. But the idea is that the milk industry is very cruel to animals, and it's also very bad for the environment, and it's very bad for your health. So, for those reasons, especially the animal rights reasons, we are not okay with vegetarianism. I was a vegetarian for the first year. Like, I ate animals for 26 years, and then I went vegetarian because I thought that was good enough. Because I didn't realize that all the animals in the milk and egg industry are tortured and then killed at a very early age. So once I realized that, I stopped eating. I went vegan and stopped eating milk and eggs. And so I would just buy vegan cheese or vegan milk or vegan butter, stuff like that, because these animals are just horrifically abused. And so I'm going to post in stage one text, and I'll tag you in it, a video to a YouTube video called "Dairy is Scary." And "Dairy is Scary" is just a 5 minute video, 5 minute video with 6 million views, and it shows what happens to animals to make milk. And it's hard to watch, but it's important to know what's going on. You have the right as a consumer to know what you're buying and where it came from, and to make a decision to buy something else. Because we have oat milk, almond milk, soy milk, rice milk, hemp milk, coconut milk. There's like so many different kinds of vegan milks. So we get all of our nutrition and flavor, but without hurting animals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like, how do you know that like all of the dairy industries, like you said, are like cruel to animals? Like,
Yeah.
there's not one good one.
Well, so the thing is like this is a business. This is a giant business, and so like 99% of the animal products that people buy come from giant factory farms where the animals are really tortured, because that's just the most profitable way of doing business. It is to, if the cow doesn't want to move into this area that the farmer wants to put them in, then the farmer's gonna like poke the animal or twist their tail to get them to move. I've seen farmers use a pitchfork and stab a cow in the face to get them to move. All right, and that's just the quickest way to do this because you don't have time to sit around for the cow to finally do what you want them to do. And also all of these animals are killed when they're just children, very very young animals, because like the thing with dairy is that you have to take away the baby in order for the farmer to be able to take the milk from the mother, because the baby is going to drink that milk from the mother's breast if we let them. And so the farmer takes the baby away as soon as the baby is born. He separates the baby from the mother, and the mother cries out into the distance over the loss of her stolen child. Like, watch the videos. It's really sad. And this is just a necessary part of getting milk, because why let the calf have the milk when that's a product to be sold? And so the farmer will kill the baby and steal the milk and sell it, and then forcibly re-impregnate the mother, so that she has another baby, and then take that baby, kill that baby, turn it into veal, so that people will eat baby animals, and then re-impregnate the mother again. And after like 3 or 4 times of this happening, the mother is spent. That means that she can't do it anymore. Her body cannot produce any more milk, or she's not able to walk anymore because she's just gone through so much pain. And so then the farmer will send the mother to a slaughterhouse, and she'll be killed when she's only like 5 years old, even though her natural lifespan is 25 years old. So she's killed when she's very, very young, and then we feed her dead body to our children.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll definitely consider that. I
Yeah,
have one last thing
go
before
ahead.
I go.
Sure.
So my mom buys like soy milk and stuff, and I've tried it before, but it doesn't really taste like normal milk. So, do you have like any suggestions?
Yeah, what I would recommend is just try a different kind of vegan milk if you didn't like that certain kind. Just try a different brand, or try, if you tried oat milk, try soy milk instead, or coconut or almond milk, stuff like that. And you'll probably find one that you like. Like, it's cool because they come in different flavors, like original or vanilla or chocolate, stuff like that. I really like vanilla oat milk is my favorite. But yeah, just like even if you can't find one that you like you don't need to drink milk. There's no requirement for you to drink any kind of milk. So I would say just don't cause that unnecessary suffering to animals. Um, and but you'll probably find a milk that you can like, and just think of the difference, like the inconvenience of it for you to try to just eat a different food or drink a different kind of milk is nothing compared to the inconvenience that the cows are going through inside the slaughterhouse.
I agree.
So just focus on the animals instead of what you're used to, and it'll become much easier to make the transition. And just imagine
Okay.
if you were being tortured and murdered, you would want people to buy something else so that that doesn't happen to you, and speak up about it. Talk to your friends and your family about this issue. Post about it on social media. Share the video that I told you to watch. Dairy is scary, and stuff like that.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a good day. Talk to us again. Yeah, sometimes you just got to be patient with your family and understand that it's different than what they're used to, and some people are scared of change and stuff. But maybe they'll come around eventually. Maybe they never will change, but maybe they will if they try some of your vegan food, or if they hear you talking about animal rights, or if you show them a slaughterhouse video or something like that. But or if you show them how veganism is way better for the environment or better for your health, stuff like that. If you can be vegan, you should be vegan. You must be vegan. The animals need your help. So just keep thinking about that and talk to us again soon, all right? What's up?
Nothing. I just actually wanted to discuss this the other day, but there were very few people in voice engaging with what I said. I'm vegan for like environmental and moral reasons, and I wanted to know, what do people think? Because I know it's like a controversial topic. What do people think about like consumption of honey, for example?
Don't do it. Be nice to bugs. Bugs are people.
But
Bugs are people
I mean,
too.
I know that the vegan community is basically split up on this.
Not
I'm
really.
on the side that I don't think it's like immoral to consume honey as long as you take care of your own bees. I think
Okay.
it's fine.
Did you want to finish?
Yeah. I was just asking, like, what is your opinion on like ethical bee keeping?
Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, there's not a big split in the animal rights movement as far as whether or not we should be eating honey. It's pretty clear cut, like vegans don't eat honey because it's an animal product and it does require animal exploitation. I'll try to find some videos about honey real quick and post them. But the idea is that, like, generally speaking, for honey, the bee farmer will clip the wings of the queen so that she can't fly away. And what that does is forces her to stay in one spot, and all the worker bees, they live to like serve the queen, and so they stay wherever she is. And since she can't leave, they won't leave, and they work overtime to like make all this honey that they make for themselves, and then humans come over and steal it, and then they just have to start over from scratch building all this honey. And in the process of getting this honey from the bees, we will inevitably kill some of the bees just by like moving the the slides out, or moving the honeycomb, there will be bees on that'll get squished, stuff like that. And we just, it's like bees eat the honey and then vomit it up. Like they eat the stuff, and so it's like bee vomit, is what honey is.
Yeah, I know what honey is.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that everybody knows what we're talking about in the audience. But I'll post.
Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying I'll post a video from Earthling Ed in stage 1 text about honey. But yeah, go ahead and say what you want to say.
Isn't it not possible for us to have symbiotic relationship with animals?
Well,
in terms of mutual beneficial ones.
In theory, it's possible. Like we kind of do that to some degree with dogs and cats. But there's also a lot of problems that come with that. Like we have a million dogs and cats in America get killed in shelters every year because people are buying from breeders instead of adopting. So even in that case, it's not really mutually beneficial because a lot of animals are dying. But take my parents, for example. They have this little garden, a vegetable garden in their backyard, and they wanted to pollinate or something, so they ordered some bees, like 10 bees, off the internet, and some guy mailed them 10 bees so that they could pollinate their garden. And what happened was, so these bees were like refrigerated or frozen or something, so that they would be forced into a state of hibernation when they arrived in the mail in this box in a plastic bag. And so my parents took them out of the bag. One of them was already dead, just from transport, and then the other bees, they woke up, and then my parents put them in this bag in the refrigerator for a few days, and then took them out to then bring them into the garden. And by the time they took them out of the refrigerator, 4 more bees had died, and then they put the other bees into the garden. But yeah, so that's the smallest scale. That wasn't for honey, but that was just using bees for pollination, and that's the smallest scale you could imagine. And yet, half of the bees died, just because we shouldn't be handling bees this way. And so yeah, I would just recommend not doing this if we don't need to. We have alternatives like agave or maple syrup, So there's even vegan honey that's just not real honey. So there's no need to do this.
Sure. My point, I guess, is I'm not for being cruel to animals, even those that exhibit really low forms of sentience, if any. I don't believe that bees have any sentience. They're basically organic robots at this point.
Do you have?
Again, not. You shouldn't be cruel. You shouldn't go out of your way to be necessarily cruel to any animal.
Well,
including bees. Obviously.
Well, I don't think you can be cruel to an individual who's not sentient, because they're not conscious or able to feel pain. So, like a plant,
Sure.
a plant is a living organism, but it's not sentient because it doesn't have a brain or pain receivers. So it's okay to rip up a plant. It doesn't care how it's treated. But
well, I mean, everything's on a spectrum, like rudimentary nervous systems, and especially in insects, probably lower forms of insects, right? Not so advanced forms of insects, probably do not result in those insects feeling physical pain. Maybe they have instinctual reactions or reactions due to hormones in their body, which is acceptable. Again, you should not be cruel to animals, or go out of your way to be cruel to animals. My point is, obviously, I should not be cruel to bees or freeze them. I think that's barbaric. But I think that it's also possible to be in a symbiotic relationship with bees, right? In terms of you receiving some of their honey, not all of it, obviously, or just providing instead of that nutrition for them, if you take away their own nutrition deposits, right?
Maybe
I think that's fine. I think it's achievable on a smaller scale, not necessarily an industrial scale. I think it's possible to have a symbiotic, beneficial, moral relationship with bees.
Well, even if that's true, though, so I would encourage everybody to watch the video I posted in stage 1 text. Why vegans?
They obviously don't support clipping wings.
Yeah, Yeah, so everybody watch
That's really bad.
watch the video that I posted called "Why Vegans Don't Eat Honey" to get more information about this. But the vast majority of honey comes from factory farms, where the bees are horrifically treated and killed very often. They'll gas the bees and stuff, you know. So like,
Oh
it's,
yeah.
so it's just not necessary, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, actually, I was in a debate a few nights ago, and I was proposed this hypothetical situation where let's say you have like, hypothetically, right? You have like wild chickens that exist in a 10 by 10 square kilometer like natural habitat. Those chickens in this hypothetical never leave that habitat, right? So they breed and exist within that ecosphere only, within that biome. Let's say you purchase that land, knowing that the chickens never leave it, right? They'll have all the necessary prerequisites to exist there with a certain degree of like life quality. Obviously, like wild animals have like worse life quality than like domesticated animals in general. I think that in that situation, it would not be immoral to claim the eggs of those chickens as long as you provide nutrition for them to recover from laying those eggs. Agreed? Those eggs would be vegan.
Well, the idea is that like even if you were to create some ideal case, like maybe an argument could be made that if a bird lays
it's a philosophical thing.
Yeah, that if a bird lays an egg out in some field and then walks away and the egg is not fertilized, so it's not a little baby bird inside the egg, it's just an unfertilized egg, and the bird who laid it doesn't care about it and has left it to just rot. If that were the case, I don't think
not only like the case, but like for example, they lay the egg, they obviously lose a lot of nutrients to do that, right? So usually chickens eat their eggs to recover from nutrient loss, right? But I think that in the case of like you controlling their population, meaning that you would provide steady increase of the population in general, not like try to take more eggs than there are chickens, therefore like there are less chickens every year or something, right? Or every month, or every like period where they breed. Like if you recover some of those eggs and you provide the equal amount of nutrients to the chickens, right? So they're not. So it's 1-to-1 in terms of like lost nutrients and nutrient provision. Then those eggs would be vegan. There is no exploitation. There is no like immoral harm done to those animals.
Okay, well,
granted that you'll be slowing their population growth.
Yeah, again,
that's
like
the only thing.
Yeah, again though, there's this issue of these birds were bred. I talked about this earlier, and there's a video called "Why Vegans Don't Eat Backyard Eggs" that talks more in depth about this. But those animals came from a place that was horrifically treating animals, and these animals were bred to create more eggs than they naturally would, and this is very taxing on their little bodies and increases their risk of ovarian cancer and bad bones and stuff like this. So we shouldn't.
I was talking, the hypothetical is only like wild chickens, right?
Okay.
Those chickens exist.
Yeah, it's just that's not realistic for what we're talking about. Like we're aiming at the industry. You know, if you find a random egg, like it's still problematic to eat that because then other people think, oh yeah, eggs are food, and so then they go buy grocery store eggs, which come from factory farms, and again, raising animals for food, whether it's for their meat or for their milk or for their eggs, is really bad for the environment, and we should not be breeding animals into existence, especially if their bodies are in a lot of pain because of the way farmers have bred them in the past, and so yeah, I agree
with everything.
Yeah, there's just not. Also, if you have room on your land for animals, they should be rescued animals. So, like, rescue some animals from a farm or slaughterhouse, or have activists who've rescued animals bring them to your home and turn it into a sanctuary instead of breeding animals that don't need to exist.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just asking because I do a lot of debates, especially with non-vegans, which are much more aggressive. This is quite civil for me. I'm not used to this level of like calmness. Usually, my debates like are extremely heated, with a lot of slurs and like insults exchanged. Last thing, what is the opinion of the community when in regards to animals that do not possess a nervous system? Like not for consumption, but in general, like treatment.
Yeah.
Like obviously not going out of your way to be cruel to them, but like obviously like an animal that has no nervous system should be valued
Yeah.
a
So
lot less than animals that has one, right?
Yeah, good question. So the idea is that the only reason we care about animals, like the only reason that vegans are nice to animals, is because they're sentient, because they have a brain and a nervous system and are therefore conscious individuals who care how they're treated. They're able to feel pain and pleasure and they desire to stay alive. So if a certain animal doesn't have those qualities, then we don't need to consider them morally, because they're essentially just like a plant at that point. But
We should not eat them and be cruel to them.
well, no, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. So because it would not matter because if they're even though they're classified as an animal, if they're not sentient, it doesn't matter then. So, but hold on, just let me talk for a second so you can understand what I'm saying. We're not sure where that line is drawn, what animals are not sentient. So, so we give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so like jellyfish or bivalves, stuff like this. We're not exactly sure. If you can show me some scientific articles that say these animals are not sentient and not able to feel pain, then it wouldn't matter how we treat them. But if it's possible that even if they don't have a brain and a traditional nervous system, but they have like nerve ganglia, like the beginnings of a nervous system, just to the point where like maybe they're able to feel pain, then I would say let's not hurt them or kill them just to be on the safe side. Because we don't need to do that. So, like, we don't need to eat jellyfish.
Last thing I want to plug, I'm from Israel. Come to Tel Aviv, is the vegan capital of the world. 71% of Israelis are vegan.
Wow.
In Tel Aviv.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know that Israel banned the sale of fur like a month or two ago, right?
Really? Damn. You're more in tune with like vegan news than me.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Hopefully.
Yeah, do a search right now for Israel fur ban because of the animal cruelty in fur products. You know, like fur coats and stuff. Israel banned the sale of fur in the whole country, just like California banned the sale of fur, the entire state, just like a year ago. Animals, and we just think that animals should be treated with respect and not killed if we don't need to kill them. And this is way better for the environment also because growing animals, raising animals for food is really bad for the environment. It uses up a lot of land, a lot of water, and creates a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, which leads to the climate crisis and things like that. And I think it's just good for us to be as nice as possible. I think it helps us to be logical thinkers and to question what we were told and to reevaluate things and to just be as nice as possible to everybody, even if they're different than us, which is why we should be nice to people who are living in different countries or who are a different race than us or a different sex than us or a different species. So I think we should be nice to chickens and cows and all those animals. Does that make sense? I'll post for you some vegan Muslims. Are you Muslim?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'll post a video of a vegan Muslim in stage 1 text. Are you able to go up? On the left side of your screen is just 3 channels above where we're currently at is stage 1 text. And in there, I'll post a video of some vegan Muslims. And you can see what they have to say. Because the idea is that I've heard some vegan Muslims say that they do not need to kill animals in order to be Muslim. And so if that's true, then I would just say be a vegan Muslim.
Like that's something you talk to people like in private about it and stuff. Like especially with the going out in public, protesting, throwing blood on people, all the crazy stuff, acting out. I feel like just that puts a bad view on certain people.
I'm sure you believe that, the things that happen to, animals, they are more harmful, more of a rights violation than someone going into a McDonald's and putting blood on the floor. Do you deny its effectiveness?
If you consider it this way, I mean,
hang on, before you say that, sorry, do you deny its effectiveness? Do you not think it's effective?
I feel like it's really not effective because at the end of the day, you just it's common, like, it's like etiquette, you feel me? Like, you don't really disturb someone while they're doing something or, get in the way. You just, let someone do something and then show them, like, let's say, it would be normal if you were to, like, I don't know, like, hey, friend, like, after in, like, a car or something, hey, yeah, nah, about you eating, whatever they ate, then, keep talking to them about that. But, like, if you just go all out, like, mid-public, start annoying people, showing people that you're, that like, a bad version of y'all, then it makes the justifying, them, it makes McDonald's seem like they're really not doing shit, because is McDonald's throwing blood in your face? Is McDonald's... No, they're providing a service. They're providing a service that if it was anybody else, would take the market anyways. So they're basically just making money off of, a market that's grand right now.
But even if you're saying that, you're saying, oh, well, it's not effective, you're not actually substantiating it, whereas there is psychological data on, certain ways of advocacy that could be linked to that sort of behaviour, such as the backfire effect. There is data, outlining how people react.
You feel like throwing, fake blood everywhere and all that would be a right way, like, that would actually get the word across. But in reality, I mean, at least how I feel, that's just a mad, disrespect. People are, like,
okay.
just trying to, go along with their day. And then there's a way of going at it. You see, if you go to Washington, D.C., you don't see people doing that. You see people on the side, giving people booklets out. That's a way you get a point across. Oh my God, people are throwing fucking blood around everywhere? That's crazy. And then they keep looking up those situations instead of looking up veganism and, what's
hang on.
how to eat properly.
Do you know that you're actually kind of explaining the backfire effect?
I've seen vegan protests here in Miami. I mean, I live in a place where there's a lot of, vegan protests, a lot of, vegan things popping up. So I've seen it myself. I mean, yeah,
you can say that, but just because the way you feel about it and a few other people feel that way doesn't necessarily mean that it's not effective, because you might be thinking, oh, well, they make me feel bad and they make me not want to do it. But actually, when we look into psychological data, that's actually one of the first stages of changing your mind, feeling really discomforted and confronted by something, and it plays on your mind. That's what, a lot of people use. That's why they use confrontational methods to get their way. Because it's like, oh, you're gonna keep thinking about it, and then that's when things like the sleeper effect come into play, where you've seen these things over and over again. They keep popping up, and then before you know it, you're thinking about it and actually engaging in it. So these kind of feelings that you're having, and like, oh well, I don't like it, I think it's wrong. It will make you think about veganism. It will make you come onto a stage and talk about veganism to vegans, and then you'll be challenged on your logical consistency when it comes to how you treat animals and how much rights you grant them, or if you do at all. So actually, it's really effective.
Watching people make a fool of themselves in public doing those kinds of things, right?
Okay.
It doesn't make people think.
Okay, it does. It does.
But you need to actually show the evidence, otherwise you just...
Yeah, so let me...
Look up, there's different...
we're just circling...
Yeah, let me talk for a second here. Let me...
It doesn't make them feel...
Okay, hold on. Look, let me talk for a second, okay? So, like, this is my specialty, all right? So I'm going to explain it from a little bit of a different perspective, because I am that guy who throws blood on myself and goes in with a megaphone and disrupts your dinner by standing up on your table screaming about animal rights. So I'm going to post, I've already been posting pictures of, like, this.
Perfect.
Okay, so in stage 1 text, everybody can go check this out. Pictures of other activists from other social movements, like the civil rights movement or the women's right to vote movement, the gay rights movement, all this stuff has always used confrontational tactics to disrupt the norm, the socialized norm of oppression, and ruffle feathers and get, antagonize people and get people talking about the issue. And yeah, some people are going to be mad about this at first, but it generates a discussion. So you might be like, "Oh, you stupid vegans, you're not helping anything," and then you're going to go talk to your friends and your family and be like, "You should have seen this stupid vegan disrupting my meal." But the person you're talking to might be like, "Well, I don't know, man. Like, I saw a slaughterhouse video the other day on YouTube, and it was pretty messed up what we're doing to animals. And we don't actually need to eat animals. So what are we doing this to them for?" And what the vegan says actually makes sense. Is like, why are we nice to dogs but mean to pigs? Like, what's the real difference between these animals? And if it was a slaughterhouse that was killing dogs, we'd probably all protest against that. And again, if you look at other social movements, they all do this, and people respond negatively at first. Many people, like racists, got mad at Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King for protesting. MLK was arrested 27 times for protesting against racial segregation. But in the process of pissing off some racists, you get the whole country talking about the issue because articles get written about it. It's on the news all of a sudden because confrontational activism is dramatic. Okay, you might be more effective in a one-on-one conversation of veganizing that individual by like showing them a slaughterhouse video and answering all their questions, kind of like what we're doing here with just educational outreach and explaining how veganism is better for the animals, better for your body, better for the planet, and you can be nice and polite to this person and they'll be more receptive in that situation. But that doesn't get media coverage because it's not entertaining, it's not dramatic, it's not in front of a crowd of people. And so the idea is to get everybody talking about the issue by doing something crazy and dramatic, and then that drives people like you to come talk to us to understand more about activism and about animal rights and why we take this shit so seriously, and why if this was happening to you, you would want people to protest for you. You would want people to be screaming on the streets that young lion doesn't deserve to be tortured and murdered just because they're different than us. And so so what protest does is it draws attention to the issue, communicates the severity of the problem, and empowers people to take collective action. And so once we have, like, if every vegan was doing intense disruptions and protests, we would win a lot sooner.
But I mean, okay, if you would like, okay, walking into like a public establishment that's like, serving something or providing a service and doing that kind of thing, to be honest, in my view, and I at least, and many other people that I've speak to the view, it's borderline protest and more on the side of being a public disturbance.
Well, yeah, it's a public. It's a public for sure. It's a public disturbance because.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different. It's different than other movements like gay. Like look at gay protests. Gay protests, it's not like they're in your face, running into Walmart, running into.
Well, hold on though. Hold on.
I'm the type of lesbian.
I've been here in Miami. Like, I've seen gay protests myself. I've gone to them myself.
Yeah, but think about it, right?
Are not like all in your face like that. They give you,
darling, just work with me here. Hang on. Literally, like, the thing is though, LGBTQ rights, they're quite far ahead. We're not sorted in the West at all, but they are quite far ahead. And at the start, absolutely, it was disruptive. Like, have you not heard about the?
I live here in Miami. Okay.
No,
so
young lion. Hold on.
You can say it gets disruptive.
You're not engaging with what's being said to you.
Yeah. So I've moved them off the stage just because they keep interrupting and they're not listening. So young lion, if you want to come back up on the stage, we'll let you, but you gotta stop interrupting and let people answer your questions, okay? But
if you're not going to engage with what we're saying, then it means you're being dishonest and you're not actually like even discussing. So it's not. There's no point. It's just like, obviously we're going to have to be disruptive in order to get it spoken about. So you've got to do something that will get it out there, that will actually have news outlets even cover it. And this person we were speaking to, Young Lion, they are adamant that this is a problem, it's not effective, but the actual psychological analyses would show otherwise. And the fact that they're so angry about it, they've actually come to speak to us about how they don't like it, well, that's planting a seed. You know, so that they'll be thinking about things. We're living in their head rent-free as a movement because of actions like that. They are effective.
Little 3-minute video about Martin Luther King and the power of protest, and how you just should not worry about pissing off racists, because the thing is that the rest of the population is listening, right? There's a lot of people during the civil rights movement, like white people, who were they were kind of on the fence about the issue of racial segregation. They were anti-racist themselves, but they were too shy to speak up about it because the social norm was discrimination against black people. And if this white person who's against discrimination speaks up, all of their racist white friends are going to be like, oh, are you on the side of them? Why aren't you on our side, you race traitor, and stuff like this. But once this white person starts seeing activists stand up for their rights, it empowers them to talk about the issue and to take a stronger stance, and it normalizes the fight against discrimination. So instead of normalizing silence and complacency in the face of oppression, we need to normalize the fight against that. And the only way to do that is to break through those social barriers and say, I don't care if people are going to call me annoying, I'm going to stand up for what's right. And then that empowers other people to do the same. And then all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of activists who are really empowered, and then they take over. 3.5% rule. So Erica Chenoweth is a social scientist who has studied 100 social movements in the past 100 years. And what her findings are showing is that non-violent direct action, so protesting, but like love-based, which is what we're doing, so we're not hurting anybody. We're mad, we're yelling, but we're not yelling at people like, you're a terrible person, and stuff like that. All we're doing is, yelling like, the animals deserve justice, they don't deserve to be treated with violence, they did nothing wrong, we got to be nice to the animals, give them rights, shut down all the slaughterhouses, stuff like that. But Erica Chenoweth showed that nonviolent movements are 3 times as effective as violent movements, because it empowers like grandmas and little kids to feel safe joining the movement because there's not a bunch of violence, right? So it's not as scary. And also she shows that it only takes 3.5% of the population to engage in sustained nonviolent direct action in order for them to accomplish their goal. So whether we're talking about removing a dictator from power or ensuring rights for a certain group of people, Erica Chenoweth's research shows that so long as you get 3.5% of the population to be active, they're going to win their cause. So that's not just people being vegan, that's like being an animal rights activist. But once we do that, we're going to win.
Hi, I'm good. I just wanted to ask, because I'm gonna go vegan and I just need, some help on how to, I don't know, how to, go vegan, because, my family, they eat meat, and I just, I don't know, just need, some help, I guess.
Sure. Okay, yeah, good question. I'm sorry you're going through that. It's always easier if you've got supportive people around you. But my first recommendation would be to try to find some vegan friends if you're able to. Maybe wear a shirt that says vegan, or a shirt that says animal rights or something, and somebody else, another vegan, might see that and be like, hey, I'm a vegan too, or I love animals, stuff like that. But ideally, yeah, talk to your parents about how veganism is better for your health, better for the environment, better for the animals. They might be willing to listen to you or buy you vegan food. You can try to show them slaughterhouse videos. That can be tough, though. It depends on how your parents are acting, though, because some of them are, willing to learn, but some of them are not. So we don't want to have you get into a big fight with your parents. The idea is to try to be patient with your parents and love them anyways. And maybe they'll change eventually, maybe they won't. My parents are not vegan, and I've been trying to reach them for 10 years. But do the best you can, and if your parents won't let you be vegan, that's really sad and frustrating, and we're not trying to make you feel like a bad person if you actually can't go vegan in your house. But just do the best you can, and once you move out, then you can be vegan. But maybe your parents will actually help you go vegan. Here's a cool video I'm posting that I made in stage 1 text. It's called Happy Animals. And this is just a cute video of like cows and pigs and chickens playing with their friends, playing like little kids in a yard. And it's just really cute, and your parents might like watching this with you. Um, and but yeah, you can show them different vegan foods, and hopefully they'll change. What do you think?
Yeah, this has been a really good help. Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, just try to find some vegan friends in real life. But if nothing else, just keep hanging out with us here in this server, and we'll be your friends and stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, animal rights. Why do you think animals deserve rights?
Of course.
Why is that?
Because they're sentient beings with the capacity to experience well-being and suffer, like we are, and there's no real morally relevant difference between them and us that would justify not granting them their basic rights.
Okay, why do I care about sentience?
You are an individual, you're a sentient being, you want your rights protected, right? You don't want to be violated in any way or have your autonomy taken from you or your life. So
yeah, and like Daddy, if you were you're sentient, and that's why we care about you and want to have legal rights to protect you from harm. But if you were totally brain dead and there was no way to fix you, so you're like unconscious, you can't feel pain, you're never going to wake up, then there's no need to care about you, and we should probably just like let you go because you're not able to experience life or the world, and so it's okay for us to, end your life because you're not coming back. But these animals are sentient and they do want to continue living, and so we should respect that for the same reason that we respect human rights.
Okay, so I don't think that addressed the question, right? You just told me what sentience is defined as, and then said that we should grant rights based on sentience because humans have rights. All I'm asking for is, why does sentience grant rights?
Okay, because if you're not sentient, I thought we did cover this, but if you're not sentient,
yeah, I did cover it.
yeah, if you're hold on, if you're not sentient, like if you're a rock, rocks are not sentient. They don't have a brain or a nervous system. They're not conscious individuals who care how they're treated. It's okay to kick a rock, okay, because they don't care if you kick them. It doesn't hurt them. But you or any kind of animal is sentient. All right, and they don't want to be kicked. Therefore, it's wrong to kick them.
Okay, like, I don't see why desires constitute rights, right? People like rapists, these people have desires, but we don't give them rights now.
Yeah, because their desires are inflicting suffering onto others. So your rights end when you violate the rights of somebody else. So everybody should have the right to do whatever they want, so long as they're not hurting anybody else. But as soon as you start hurting somebody else, that's where we draw the line and say, no, that's illegal. You're not allowed to hurt anybody else.
Well, I'm just attacking desire's simplicity, right? How does desires to not be kicked, why does that matter?
Because,
if not desire simplicity.
Okay, do you disagree that because you're able to be negatively affected by me kicking you and you don't want me to kick you, that therefore I should not have the right to kick you?
If I don't want to be kicked, you shouldn't have the right to kick me? Is that the question?
Essentially, yeah, because you're the type of being who doesn't want to be kicked, and I don't need to kick you. So should we have a law protecting you from being kicked by me?
I mean, I just think, I don't see how that wouldn't apply to the, I don't see how that wouldn't apply to the rape scenario, right? If we're valuing, because you didn't mention anything about,
It's not only... I already talked about this. It's not only about desire. It's about, like... Okay, if you're... Again, if your desire is to harm somebody unnecessarily, that's an unjustified desire. But if you have the... I already explained this. Because you don't want to be sexually assaulted, so you should not sexually assault others. All right, that should be pretty clear. And if you're supporting sexual assault, we're just going to kick you off the stage.
Wait, I'm not. I'm just.
What we were talking about beforehand with something, such as veganism. Say if someone has the desire to, eat the flesh of a sentient being, well, we're looking at an instance where someone is violating the rights or paying someone to violate the rights of another sentient being. So it's not something that's analogous, because you're looking at actively having a desire to harm the rights of others. But if someone has a desire to continue living, what's the active rights violation they're committing there? What harm are they doing when they're doing that? So it's not analogous.
Yeah, so there's a difference between the desire to have safety versus the desire to cause harm to others.
Okay, so I guess we can just go back to why should I care? Right?
You should care. Okay, you should care because it will help the animals. And if you were an animal, you would hope that someone would be nice to you instead of stabbing you. So it's just basic perspective, the golden rule, the same thing you would apply for human rights. Why should I care about a woman? I'm not a woman. Well, you should care about a woman because women are the type of beings who are conscious and they care how they're treated. And so it would be unethical to mistreat them, all right? But also, if you were in their position, if you had been born a woman, you would hope that people would be nice to you even though you're not a man, okay? And it's the same thing with animals. They care how they're treated. They didn't get to choose what body they're born into. If you were in their position, you would want to be treated with respect. And also, being nice to animals is way better for our environment, and it's better for your health. And also, again, it's just better for you evolving into a kinder and more rational person. Because if you're just going to say, well, I don't care about others because they're not me, why should I care about the well-being of women or of animals when I'm not them? They're not part of my group. Well, then that's just the same as racism or sexism. It's just an in-group bias where you're saying, I only care about me and my group. And that's just an arbitrary line of discrimination.
So I'm not seeing how that wouldn't apply to a rock, right? I could have been a rock, and I presumably would want to be protected.
No, you wouldn't.
So
no, you would not.
You know what?
Hold on. If you
were don't desire.
Go ahead.
How would you want to be protected when you're a rock? You wouldn't want anything. There'd be nothing going on upstairs because there isn't an upstairs. What do you mean?
Rocks rocks do not have a brain, therefore they do not have mental processes. They don't have thoughts. So you wouldn't be able to think, oh, I want to be treated well. You wouldn't have pain receptors, so it wouldn't matter if I kicked you. It wouldn't hurt. There would be nobody in there to care. Do you have any final thoughts or questions before we move on? All right, well, talk to us again when you have questions. Also, just raising a bunch of animals is really bad for the environment because we have to feed all those animals a bunch of crops, and that's just really bad for the environment. It wastes a bunch of food that we could eat directly, or a bunch of farmland that we could use to build trees and make our environment better. It uses up a lot of water because we have to water the crops that are fed to the animals, and we have to give the animals water to drink. And there's a bunch of cholesterol in eggs, so there's just no reason to have eggs. We have vegan egg. There's just no need to do this.
So you're saying that we should just kill all animals?
No.
Because that is
what? No.
Well, nowhere did we say that was the case, did we? Think about why they are here in the first place. They've been bred into existence because they're profitable to use. So if no one's buying these products, they're not going to breed them into existence to exploit and kill them, are they?
The birds that already exist that people are buying the eggs from and stuff, those birds are going to be killed because people want to eat meat and they want to eat eggs. And so those birds who exist right now are going to die because people buy them. But we're saying we should stop the breeding of them so that in the future there's no more birds that we have to worry about. But this isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to be a gradual progression. As more people go vegan and start buying vegan products, then less animals will be, less meat, dairy, and eggs will be bought. And so less animals will be bred for the purpose of slaughter, okay, to sell their dead bodies. And so farmers will start realizing, okay, the times are changing. We got to stop breeding animals because nobody wants to. People aren't wanting to eat as much meat and dairy and eggs, and so they'll start growing more plants. And then once we do make the new law that says we're shutting down all the slaughterhouses, then all of those animals, whatever animals are left, which won't be as many animals as currently exist in farms, because, like I said, less animals will be bred into existence because the times are changing. But whatever animals do still exist, we will not slaughter. We will transport them to an animal sanctuary or convert the factory farm into an animal sanctuary where the animals get to live out their lives and enjoy their existence and not be hurt.
I mean, I completely agree with you about the slaughterhouse bit. Like, slaughterhouses are extremely unsanitary, extremely non-humane, and just overall bad. But that brings up another question. How will we get all of the plants? Like, how will we get all of these plants to feed over 8 billion people on Earth?
Well, yeah, so just...
And then...
Hold on. So, yeah, so that's a good question. The thing is we're already feeding like 70 billion land animals, like cows and pigs and chickens. There's 70 billion of them across the world that we're raising. So we're already feeding that many animals, which is 10 times the human population. So we can easily feed 10 times less individuals, the humans, instead of those animals.
But we don't eat hay.
Well, no, but the idea is that the land that's being used to grow hay would be used to grow potatoes or whatever. So the USDA reported that it takes 16 pounds of plants to make 1 pound of beef, because the farmer has to feed the cow every day for 18 months to get them up to slaughter weight. So 16-to-1 ratio of beef to plants. The University of Oxford reported that raising animals takes up 75% of our farmland because, again, we have to grow a bunch of crops to feed all these animals. 70% of the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest is used for raising cattle. National Geographic reported that a vegan diet saves 600 gallons of water per person per day because we have to water the crops that are fed to the animals and give the animals water to drink. And then lastly, the United Nations reported that the greenhouse gases coming from raising cattle is more than the entire transportation sector, which includes all cars, trucks, trains, planes, and ships.
What are the greenhouse gases, though? Like, could you expand on that?
Greenhouse gases, specifically in this case, is methane gas, which is worse for the environment than carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is what is the greenhouse gas that comes from cars, but methane is the greenhouse gas that comes from animals, from burping and farting and stuff, and that's even worse for the environment than cars.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. I completely understand where you're coming from about all of this, and that's a lot of water and beef and stuff. Anyways, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm stumped. My brain is still extremely slow, so I can't think of any other points, but It's been nice debating with you.
Yes, for sure. I'll post one more thing for you, is a YouTube video for a movie called Cowspiracy. This is
Does it have blood in it? I'm
No.
extremely sensitive to blood and gore.
No, it doesn't. It's just about the environment. It's how a vegan diet is better for the environment. So this is just the 15-minute version of the movie. The whole movie is like 2 hours. You should be able to find it on Netflix. But Cowspiracy, here's just a short version of it on YouTube. I posted in stage 1 text.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been nice debating with you. Thank you for having an open mind and not being like the crazy vegans who are just like, you have to go vegan. And like just yell at me.
Well, that's me too. Also, I do that too. But
That is me also.
yeah, you got lucky.
me.
You got lucky today. That's all that happened. Okay, it was nice talking to you.
It's been nice debating with you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
What's up?
Chillin'.
First, my English is limited, but I can try
Okay,
to speak.
that's fine.
And my question is, yes, I am vegan too.
Cool.
3 years,
Good.
but yes,
I have one question for this. What do you think about the deaths of the insects and rodents in the fields of vegetable crops?
Yes, that's a very good question. I feel very sad. I find it unfortunate that insects and rodents might get killed sometimes in the harvesting of plant foods. But and so there's things we can do to work towards making plant foods without killing any insects or rodents, and that would be things like vegan farming, veganic farming, or indoor vertical farms. So vertical farms are really cool. It's like a skyscraper, an indoor building where the plants are stacked on top of each other going up instead of going sideways. So this uses a bunch of less land, and it takes like 95% less water because the sun isn't burning up all the water that was just given to the crops and stuff because it's inside. So it's just way better for the environment, and because it's indoors, no insects or rodents can get inside to get to the plants. And so there's no need for pesticide, and no animals are killed in the making of these. So this is called vertical farming. And there's videos about it on YouTube. It's already happening. It can be built in the desert. It can be built in a basement under a restaurant, stuff like this. Really cool. But in the meantime, yes, some animals die in the production of plant foods, but by being vegan, we're killing less animals in those crop fields, less insects and rodents, because again, it takes 16 pounds of plants to make 1 pound of beef. So if we got rid of feeding cattle, then we would be killing 16% less insects and rodents by not growing those crops to feed those animals. So we realize that we can't be perfect in this world, but we're trying to do the best we can and minimize the amount of harm that we cause. So does that make sense?
Yes, I think that the best argument to that is the fallacy of nirvana. You know what is the fallacy of nirvana?
No, what is that?
It's I can explain in English better, but if you can looking for in internet.
Okay, fallacy of the environment.
No, it's for the people think that if you can't do anything, you don't wanna do.
Do you mean a appeal to futility? I think that's basically where if we say, well, we can't be perfect, so we might as well not even try.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's a good point. That's called the appeal to futility, saying it's futile. Nothing's ever going to change, so why even try? But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, we can't be perfect, but we can make the world a better place. We can lessen the amount of harm that we bring to the world, and I think we should. And if people were to say that about anything else, like women's rights or gay rights or anything, if they were to say, well, there's always going to be oppression, so we might as well not even try, well, then they wouldn't have gotten women the right to vote. Or gay people would never have gotten the right to get married. Stuff like that. But we don't accept that because we realize that we can change things to some degree.
Nah, it's just that. Just was that.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other questions or thoughts?
Yes, no, I just wanna tell of the admins if you can create a stage 2 for debate Spanish-speaking people.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know if any moderators are listening right now, but there's definitely room for that, I think. And it looks like you're vegan. You just need to be verified as vegan. So if a moderator is listening and they can verify you as vegan and talk to you about a Spanish stage, that would be cool.
Yes, I can debate. You know, yes, I will be admin. I can explain better a lot of like you know, in English. But
Yes.
in Spanish.
Yes, I understand. Maybe we could have you host a stage in Espanol someday. No es comida, es violencia. It's not food, it's violence.
That's cool. Okay.
Carne es asesinato. Meat is
Yes,
assassination. Meat is murder. Very good. Okay, well, talk to us again. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, wait, Jose, in Spanish, in English, the peace begin in your table.
Peace begins on your plate. Yeah, I don't know how to say that in
Yes,
Spanish.
in the
Peace
table,
begins on your
yes.
plate.
Ah, mierda, venga. Okay, is that all?
Yeah, good job. And then we have one more person who wants to come on stage, so we'll talk to you again soon. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm a 15-year-old animal liberation activist,
Woohoo!
and yeah, so I'm.
Got a lot.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to the Animal Liberation March next month in
Cool.
the Netherlands here,
Awesome.
and I'll be the lead janitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. You should totally follow my YouTube channel because I've done a lot of animal rights protests, and I'll post for you right now an instructional video I made for other activists about how to lead chants. And so I don't know if you already have like a good chant script and everything going for your march, but you should totally check out this little video I made, and it has. In the description of the video, it has like the lyrics for the chants, and this is just super cool. So I'll tag you in this in stage 1 text. I recommend everybody check this out. We use drums and chanting, and so it's like a chant song. But yeah, it's super cool. So if anybody ever wants to lead a march for animal rights, check out this video, and this will teach you how to get on the megaphone.
All right, I checked that out. Yeah, okay, so I actually wanted to ask you a few tips, but I guess this will help already. So the second question is about vegan cats. I have a cat here at home, and I feed him a vegan diet. So, yeah, I was wondering whether you agree that it is possible to feed a cat, to have a healthy cat on a vegan diet, and also about it. I was wondering how you changed the mind of other vegans that it can be healthy for cats.
Okay.
To be vegan.
Yeah, good question again. So I'll post some resources again in in stage 1 text about vegan dog and cat food. So here we go. Oh wait, I posted the wrong thing. Hold on. Delete. Okay, let me try this again. Here we go. But yeah, the idea is that there's a bunch of science from veterinarians and stuff that are saying that dogs and cats can be vegan. They just have to get all the same nutrients. And so here's like a whole bunch of different scientific sources.
My internet is... okay.
Okay, there we go. So go to stage 1 text, and you'll see a whole bunch of websites and stuff about this.
Okay, great.
But yeah, I'm not a veterinarian or a nutritionist, so I can't really explain all that. But these people on these websites can.
All right. And then just a personal question. I was wondering whether the two of you are free, full-time activists, or whether you have a regular job. Because I'm 15 years old, I'm already thinking about what I want to do in the future. And I'm guessing it's just, I don't see any other option than just going full-time activist, actually.
Yeah, so I'm trying. I'm not employed right now, but sometimes I'll work like a part-time job at a vegan restaurant and then spend the rest of my time doing activism. But I also have a Patreon page, so I would recommend that you start a YouTube channel, start a Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and start a Patreon page at patreon.com, and that way people can donate to you if they want to. And some people will donate just $1 a month. Some people, might donate $50 a month or $100 a month. So, yeah, I have like 30 people that are donating to me every month, and I make like $250 a month. At one point, I was making $500 a month, but that was when I was more active. So it can be tough, but I would recommend setting up a Patreon page for all your activism, so that people can donate to you if they want to. But you could also try to get a job at PETA or Mercy for Animals or Vegan Outreach, or there's a lot of different vegan groups that might be hiring.